Hey everyone, and welcome back to the deep dive. I really hope you're somewhere comfortable right now.
Yeah, settle in.
Maybe you've dimmed the lights a little bit, maybe you've got a blanket, or if it's sweltering hot where you are,
Which would be very fitting for today.
it would be so appropriate for today's deep dive. Maybe you found a spot with a cool breeze, because today we are going to explore a session that is all about the atmosphere.
And not just, the weather.
No, not just the weather. I mean, the psychic atmosphere of our own minds.
It is definitely a session that invites you to just sink into it. We're looking at some really profound concepts today.
Oh, for sure.
Things about the nature of reality, the way our waking and our dreaming lives just sort of bleed into one another, and frankly, how we might be sabotaging ourselves simply by trying too hard.
Trying too hard to be good or spiritual or whatever.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. It's the paradox of effort. And we're definitely going to get into that. But before we, unzip the fabric of reality and take a peek behind the curtain,
Good way to put it.
we have to get the housekeeping out of the way. Just a serious reminder to everyone listening. This deep dive, like all our work, is distributed entirely free of charge.
On all major platforms.
On all major platforms, yes. And it's for educational purposes. We are here to learn, to share, to, I hope, expand our minds, and maybe have a little fun while we do it.
Absolutely. And our source material for this deep dive is, well, it's truly special. We are looking at session 178 of the Seth material.
Okay, session 178.
And this comes from the early sessions, book 4. The date of record for this one is August 16th, 1965.
A Monday night in the mid-60s. Wow.
A Monday night. And we absolutely have to give credit where credit is due. All of this material comes to us from the Seth material, and the publisher is the New Awareness Network.
They do amazing work.
They really do. And if you find what we're about to talk about interesting, and I promise you, you will, you really need to go to the source.
Don't just take our word for it.
Exactly. You can find these books at sethcenter.com/the early sessions.
Okay, consider that your first homework assignment, but don't worry, there's no grade. So, our mission statement for today, we are going to unpack this kind of chilling connection between the real world, and I'm using heavy air quotes there,
As you should.
and the dream world. And we're going to look at why your ego might be the worst micromanager you've ever met, and why trying is actually the enemy of doing.
It's just a fascinating session because it starts so grounded. I mean, it starts in the physical discomfort of the body, and then it just immediately launches into the limitless nature of the self. It's quite a ride.
Let's set the scene properly then, because the vibe here is, it's everything. It's August 1965, Elmira, New York, and it is sweltering.
Unbearably hot. We're talking about that thick, sticky, heavy heat that just kind of sits on you. You can almost feel it.
The notes for the session describe it as extremely hot and humid. Now, that's Robert Butts, Jane Roberts' husband. He's sitting there, and he's annoyed.
He's just not having a good time.
Yeah, not at all. They have the windows open because, well, it's 1965 and a walk-up apartment. They probably don't have AC.
Right.
And the traffic noise from the street is just bleeding into the room. You've got cars, trucks, probably people shouting. It's loud. It's distracting.
And you have to remember, Rob is the scribe.
Mm-hmm.
He's the one trying to record the session, taking notes by hand, probably in longhand.
Mm-hmm.
And this sensory overload is just, it's getting to him. He's sweating. He's hearing engines roaring.
He's very present in his body.
Very much so. He is focused on the physical discomfort of that moment.
But then you have Jane, or, Ruburt, as Seth calls her. She's in a trance state. Her eyes are closed. And she's speaking quietly. Mm-hmm. And despite the heat, despite the roaring trucks outside, she is completely unbothered.
And that contrast right there, that's so important to notice right off the bat.
It's the whole session in a nutshell.
It is. You have the physical world, noisy, uncomfortable, intrusive, demanding your attention. And then you have the inner world that Jane is accessing, which is focused and calm and totally detached from those immediate physical irritations.
It's almost a perfect metaphor for what Seth ends up talking about.
Exactly.
It's like she's in a little bubble of cool air in the middle of a furnace. So Jane's in this state, Seth comes through, and he immediately starts picking apart something Jane has been doing in her spare time.
Yeah, he gets right to it.
He does. She's been doing these, what they call psychological time experiments. Psi time, for short.
Right. It's a specific practice they were working on to alter their consciousness, explore these other states.
But apparently she's doing it wrong, or maybe not wrong, but she's doing it too intensely.
She's trying too hard. That is the specific critique Seth offers. Jane is, she's a very disciplined person. She wants to get it right.
Oh, absolutely. She's methodical.
Very. She wants to achieve these altered states of consciousness. So when she sits down to practice psi time, she is applying willpower. She is focusing with this intense determination.
Which, I mean, that sounds like a good thing.
Right.
If I want to learn an instrument or learn to code or bake a souffle, I have to focus. I have to apply willpower. I have to say, I am going to master this.
In the physical world of manipulating objects, sure, that works.
Right.
But Seth points out this really critical distinction here. In the realm of consciousness, of psychic expansion, willpower creates constriction.
Constriction, that's the exact word he uses, isn't it?
Yes. He says, and I'm sort of paraphrasing the sentiment here, that in his psychological time experiments, Ruburt is trying too hard. This effort, this willpower, leads to a constriction. And the entire goal is expansion.
It's so ironic. It's like screaming, I'm going to relax now. I am going to be zen if it kills me.
Exactly.
You're stressing out about how well you're relaxing.
It's the aggressive spiritualist paradox. You see this all the time. People treating meditation like it's a competitive sport, like they're trying to win.
I have to be the best meditator in the room.
Right. And Seth says she needs to avoid what he calls a do-or-die attitude. When you hem the mind in with these rigid expectations and this forceful focus, you actually shut down the very channels you're trying to open.
You're building a dam when you want a river.
That's a perfect analogy. You are.
He uses an analogy about poetry, right? Which makes sense because Ra was a writer and a poet.
He does. And it's a great one. He compares it to writing poetry. He tells Rob, essentially, that it would help if Jane let herself go in the same way that Rob does when he works on his poetry.
Think about that for a second. When you're in a creative flow state, are you forcing every syllable? Are you gritting your teeth and demanding that the rhyme scheme work?
No, of course not. That's how you get terrible, clunky poetry.
It's awful. The good stuff, the magic stuff, it just sort of, it bubbles up. You're almost more of a receiver or a channel than a creator in those moments. You have to be spontaneous.
Exactly. So the advice is basically, stop trying to force the door open with a crowbar. Just unlock it and let the wind blow it open on its own.
Seth gives this really beautiful, if a little dense, direction, he says. To focus outward, within and through the universe, is to expand and focus inwards simultaneously. He must seek the expansion before he seeks the results or effects of the expansion.
Okay, let's pause on that. That is heavy. Seek the expansion before the results.
It's so counterintuitive to how we live our lives. We are so results-oriented.
Completely.
We want the cool psychic vision. We want the out-of-body experience. We want the proof that it's working. But Seth is saying, no, just go for the feeling of vastness first.
Right. If you focus on the result, like I need to see a vision now, you are narrowing your focus. You're basically putting a spotlight on a tiny point in the darkness. But consciousness expansion is about a floodlight. It's about widening the aperture. You can't widen the aperture by squinting harder.
I love that. You can't widen the aperture by squinting harder. That should be on a t-shirt.
It really should.
So, Jane, and by extension, all of us listening, needs to chill out. Trust the spontaneity. Stop treating spiritual growth like it's a corporate deadline.
And that, I think, leads us directly into the really chilling part of the session. Because once you stop constricting, once you start allowing for that expansion,
You start to notice things.
you start to notice that the walls between here and there aren't nearly as solid as you thought.
This is the part that genuinely gave me goosebumps when I was rereading it. Seth starts talking about the connection between the waking self and the dreaming self.
Right.
And he's not just saying they're metaphorically connected, like, oh, your dreams reflect your day.
No, it's much deeper than that. He's saying they're woven together on every conceivable level. Chemically, electromagnetically, psychically.
He says, and I think this is a direct quote, the connections between the dreaming self and the waking self are completely interwoven.
And here is the mechanism he describes. He says it's a feedback loop.
A feedback loop?
Yeah. Suggestions you receive while you are sleeping are often carried out when you wake up. And on the flip side, suggestions you make while you are awake are processed and acted upon while you are asleep.
It's like you're living two lives that are constantly emailing each other instructions, but you're only consciously checking the inbox during the day.
That's a great way to put it. And sometimes you act on those emails without even realizing you've received them. You think you're having a spontaneous idea or just making a choice.
But really, you're just executing a command that came from the night shift.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the story, the anecdote. the traffic light. This is the glitch in the matrix moment of the whole session.
It really is. It's a perfect, concrete, almost mundane example of this feedback loop in action. It's what makes it so believable.
Okay, so let me lay out the story for everyone. This is Rob's experience. He writes about it in his session notes. On a Tuesday night, June 22nd, Rob has a dream.
Just a regular Tuesday?
A regular Tuesday. In the dream, he's driving his car. He finds himself on a specific side street approaching a specific traffic light.
And it's a route he doesn't usually take, right? That's an important detail.
Right. It's a side street he rarely, if ever, uses. In the dream, he's sitting at this light waiting for it to turn green so he can get onto the main highway, and he waits a long, long time. It's one of those lights that just seems to stay red forever. You know the type.
Oh, I know that light. We all know that light.
So, okay. Kind of a boring dream, right? Waiting in traffic. Who dreams about traffic?
Totally mundane.
He wakes up, he writes it down in his dream journal, which good on him for keeping one, by the way, and then he promptly forgets about it, just wipes it from his conscious mind. He gets ready and goes to work.
And this is where it gets weird.
This is where it gets really weird. So that morning, while he's driving to work, he decides spontaneously to take a different route, just for a little variety. Oh, I'll mix it up today, he thinks. He turns down this side street, he drives up to the traffic light, and boom, the light is red.
And he sits there.
He sits there, waiting. And suddenly, as he's just staring at this red light, the dream pops back into his head. The déjà vu just hits him like a ton of bricks.
He realizes he's in the dream.
He realizes he is physically acting out the exact script that he dreamt the night before.
That's startling. I mean, genuinely startling. Rob writes in the notes that he was so taken aback, he began to question everything. He realized he had acted out a dream suggestion without any conscious awareness that he was doing it.
That's the chilling part. He thought he was just choosing a route for variety. Oh, I'll go this way today, mix it up a bit. But was it really a choice? Or was it a subconscious command he was simply obeying?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it? Seth analyzes this and says, basically, suggestions received during the sleeping state are often carried out by the waking personality. There it is. Rob could have chosen a half-dozen other routes to work, but his subconscious maneuvered him. It completely bypassed his conscious logic into a physical situation that perfectly mirrored the dream reality.
So how much of our daily life is this? I mean, seriously, how many times do I decide to call a friend or order the turkey sandwich instead of the ham because I dreamt about it the night before and just don't remember?
Or more seriously, how many times do we get into an argument or take a wrong turn or meet a specific person because we are acting out a script that was written while we slept?
It blurs the line of free will, doesn't it?
It does. Or maybe it just expands the definition of who is exercising the will. Is it the you that is awake right now listening to this? Or is it the much larger you that operates in the deep subconscious?
Seth would argue they're the same entity.
Of course. But we're only identifying with the one that's awake and thinking it's the one in charge.
It makes you look at your whole day differently. If I'm stuck in traffic or if I have some weird interaction with a cashier, I have to stop and wonder, did I rehearse this? Did I write the scene last night?
And Seth takes it even further. He says this isn't just about little things like traffic lights. He says, and I'm paraphrasing, the physical environment is directly affected then by the activities of the dreaming self.
Wait, say that again?
The physical environment is directly affected by the dreaming self. We are literally molding our physical days based on the work we do at night.
That's huge. That means the dream world isn't some fantasy land we escape to. It's the blueprint room. It's the workshop.
Precisely. But there's a flip side to this, right? It's not just that we are puppets of our dreams. It's that we have this massive reservoir of talent and potential in the dream state that we are. Well, most of us are just ignoring it.
We're not checking that inbox.
We're not. And this brings us to the whole discussion of the ego.
Ah, the ego. The villain of so many spiritual stories. You have to kill the ego, they say.
Well, Seth doesn't really paint the ego as a villain. Not necessarily. It's more like an overworked, paranoid middle manager.
Laughs the paranoid middle manager. Love that. Did you fill out the TPS reports on survival? We need those by 5.
Totally. Seth describes the subconscious as a repository of potentiality. It's infinite. It contains all these talents, these abilities, these psychic connections. It's a vast storehouse.
But the ego views its job description as purely physical survival.
Keep the body alive. Find food. Find shelter, avoid tigers. That's its entire to-do list.
So the ego looks at this vast repository of potential, this incredible storehouse, and it starts cherry picking. It says, okay, being good at math helps us count money for food. We'll keep that. Being good at running helps us escape predators. We'll keep that one too.
But what about, I don't know, the ability to daydream or paint or have telepathic insights? The ego looks at those and says, does this help us find our next meal right now? No, then toss it. It's a distraction. It's dangerous. Seth actually says ego concern is a very jealous concern. It's fearful. It sells the personality short.
So the ego is basically looking at Rob and saying, we don't have time for your weird art stuff, Rob. We need to focus on surviving.
Pretty much. But here is the massive kicker, the twist in the story. Seth argues that the ego is wrong about what is actually necessary for survival.
This was my absolute favorite part of the text, the complete redefinition of what it means to survive. Because we usually think survival is just biology, right? Heart beating, lungs breathing, body functioning.
That's the conventional wisdom. But Seth states very clearly, the ego that ignores too many of the possibilities of the inner self is soon in dire difficulty.
And here's the quote that I think we really need to sit with. Seth says, for the personality in such circumstances will shrivel up, and ultimately the physical self will die ahead of its time.
Let that sink in.
Whoa. So suppressing your creativity, suppressing your joy, your quote-unquote useless hobbies, that can literally kill you.
According to Seth, yes. Because the inner self, the larger consciousness that actually provides the energy to keep your heart beating and your cells regenerating, it doesn't just want to survive. It wants to be. It requires what he calls value fulfillment.
So if the ego turns life into this gray, joyless, utilitarian grind of just surviving, the inner self eventually just pulls the plug. It says, you know what, I'm out.
Essentially, yes. Seth says, and this is another powerful line, without a sense of joy and inner accomplishment, the inner self will refuse to maintain the physical structure adequately.
That implies that joy is a biological necessity. I've never heard it put that way before.
Neither.
We usually think of joy as a luxury, like once I pay the bills and I fix the roof and get the kids to college, then I can finally have some joy.
Right. It's the reward at the end.
And Seth is saying, no, if you don't have the joy along the way, the roof doesn't matter because you won't be there to live under it.
It's a radical shift in priority. It's not just a nice to have, it's a must have. He uses Rob as a specific example, which is so powerful.
He does.
Rob was an artist, a painter. But like so many artists, he probably worried that his painting wasn't practical. Maybe he felt guilty for spending time on it when he could be doing something more productive.
I think every creative person has felt that.
Oh, absolutely. And Seth speaks directly to him, to Joseph, and says, your own talents have worked for the survival of your personality, Joseph.
He says Rob's artistic abilities, the very things the ego might view as impractical or a waste of time, have actually been his main security and survival mechanism.
Yes, because they gave him the psychological strength, the sense of purpose, the joy to keep going. They fuel the inner self.
That is just, it's the ultimate validation for every artist, every musician, every writer, or just anyone with a weird hobby that they love listening right now. Your ego might be telling you it's a waste of time. Seth is telling you it's the very thing keeping your engine running.
And it highlights that flexibility is strength. You know, a rigid tree breaks in the storm, but a flexible one bends and survives. If the ego is too rigid about what it accepts from that inner storehouse,
The personality becomes brittle.
it becomes brittle and it breaks.
Wow. Okay, so we have the paranoid manager ego trying to protect us but actually hurting us. We have the dream self writing scripts for our day. How do we actually use this information? Seth gives some really practical advice here, right? This isn't just theory.
No, it is very practical. We move from the theory into what we might call dream engineering.
I love that term, dream engineering. Okay, so how do we do it?
Well, Seth explains that we solve problems in our sleep all the time. We all know that phrase, let me sleep on it. But he means it literally. The energy we use in dreams is incredibly intense.
He does this whole comparison of the energy of waking versus dreaming.
He does. He says the energy used in constructing dreams is every bit as intense as the energy used in the waking state. But, and this is the absolute key, it causes no depletion.
Right. Why no depletion if it's just as intense? Why don't I wake up exhausted from, running a marathon or flying in my dream?
Because it's diffused.
Yeah.
In the waking state, we usually have to focus our energy like a laser beam. I must lift this box. I must drive this car. It's directional and it's strained. There's friction involved.
Physical resistance.
Exactly. Resistance. In the dream state, The energy operates with a much wider radius. It's expansive. There is no resistance, no friction of the physical world to push against.
So it's high energy, but it's zero drag.
That's a perfect way to describe it. Zero drag. And because of this unique dynamic, the moments right before you fall asleep are, well, they're magical times for programming your reality.
The pre-sleep suggestion. Okay, this is the news you can use segment, folks. Grab a pen. What is the technique?
Seth recommends giving yourself suggestions immediately before sleep. Because you're transitioning into that high-energy, low-resistance, zero-drag state, the suggestions take root incredibly effectively.
He specifically mentions health, doesn't he?
Yes, health suggestions are a big one. If you're feeling unwell or you just want to maintain vitality, suggesting that to your subconscious right as you drift off is extremely powerful. But he also mentions something he calls expectation.
Right. He says, suggestions should be given leading to dreams in which a desired situation is accomplished.
And this is a very subtle but important point. It's a visualization technique, but it's deeper. You don't just visualize the goal. You ask for a dream where the goal is already accomplished.
I see the difference. So you're not trying to force the waking world to change immediately. You're asking to experience the success in the dream world first.
Right. And Seth says, the dream will then increase and activate your own expectations. So when you wake up, you carry the emotional memory of that success with you. You feel on a deep subconscious level that you have already done it.
And since we know that expectations influence physical reality,
you start to attract and create that reality in your waking life. It's the feedback loop again, but this time you're using it consciously.
You plant the seed in the dream, it grows in the psyche while you sleep, and then it bears fruit in the physical day.
It's beautiful.
It connects right back to the traffic light story. Rob's dream planted a seed, this idea of waiting at a specific light. His expectation of that wait was so strong, he physically navigated himself to fulfill it.
Unconsciously.
Unconsciously. Now imagine if that seed wasn't waiting at a red light, but something like feeling confident and articulate in a big meeting, or finding a creative solution to a problem I've been stuck on.
Exactly. If you can unintentionally script a red light, you can almost certainly intentionally script a green one.
That is so cool. It turns sleep from just recharging the battery into programming the main computer.
It really does.
Yeah.
And it fits perfectly with Seth's instruction to Jane at the very beginning of the session. Stop trying so hard.
It all comes full circle.
It does.
Yeah.
The dream state doesn't require effort.
Yeah.
It flows. If you can tap into that flow, you can accomplish things that the gritty, teeth-clenching will of the ego could never, ever touch.
So let's recap what we've unpacked here. It feels like a lot.
It's a dense one. We've got a lot.
Okay, first, the paradox of effort. If you're trying to expand your consciousness by furrowing your brow and straining your brain, you're doing it wrong. Expansion requires letting go, not clamping down.
Check. Second, the waking-dreaming connection. It's not a wall, it's a veil. It's seamless. We are constantly acting out dream scripts, often without a clue that we're doing it.
The traffic light is the proof that the barrier is permeable.
Totally.
Third, the ego needs a performance review. It's trying to keep you alive by banning frivolous things like joy and art, but in doing so, it's actually threatening your biological survival.
Joy is fuel, not a luxury.
Joy is fuel. And finally, use the twilight time. That moment right before sleep is your command console. Suggest health. Suggest solutions. Ask to dream of your success so you can wake up expecting it.
It really changes the way I think about going to bed tonight.
Mm.
I'm not just going to bed, going to work, but the fun kind of work, the expansion kind.
That's...
It really invites you to trust yourself more. I mean, to trust that the part of you that sleeps is just as smart, just as capable, maybe even more so, than the part of you that is awake right now.
And speaking of trusting yourself, I want to leave the listeners with a final thought, something to kind of chew on that wasn't explicitly in the text, but feels like the logical next step.
Okay, what's that?
We talked about Rob's traffic light. He had that sudden moment of déjà vu, right? That feeling of, I've been here before.
We all get that.
We all get that, and we usually just brush those moments off as a weird brain glitch. But what if we started treating every moment of déjà vu, every weird coincidence, every gut feeling to turn left instead of right, as a direct communication from our dream self?
So, stop ignoring the glitches in the matrix.
Exactly. Lean into the glitches. If you feel like you've written a script for today, maybe stop for a second and ask, okay, what's the next line? And do I want to change it?
That is a powerful place to live from. Conscious participation in your own movie.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a mind bender of a deep dive. I really want to thank you all for hanging out with us in the heat of 1965.
And again, please do yourself a favor. Don't just take our word for it. Read the material. Go to sethcenter.com/the early sessions.
Please do.
Support the New Awareness Network. These books are dense, yes, but they are absolute treasures.
They really, really are. And hey, tonight, when you lay your head down, tell your ego to take a break.
Give it the night off.
It's earned it. And ask for something wonderful.
Good advice.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.